Hey guys, big upgrade for the garage. I finally installed a wall-mounted pressure washer. I ended up going with the Kranzle 1322 from Obsessive Garage. I originally was going to go with a Karcher Cube. It was on sale for $109. It's still on sale for $109. I literally had it in the living room floor and I had second thoughts. I'm like, well, I had the money. This is what I really wanted. And the plan was to upgrade because all this stuff is expensive. But if I'm going to do it, cry once, buy once. And so I chose to return the Karcher Cube and get the 1322 Kranzle. I think I only bought this from Obsessive Garage. Their prices are a little high. They do have some cool things. Some of this comes off of the look of what they have, or improvements in my case in some regards. So I bought the Kranzle from them. I bought a lot of this from either a supply store, local home improvement store, Clean Garage for a lot of it, and Acme Tool. I'll go through, guys. I have videos on all of the things that I have here, and if you want to continue watching, it'll be probably a long video, but I'll show you how I reinforce this wall. I didn't do a video on the electrical because I don't want anybody to electrocute themselves. I'm not a qualified electrician. I will show you some plumbing. You can't get hurt with the plumbing, but I did run a dedicated 20 amp circuit, or semi-dedicated. So the only thing that it shares is this TV. I have a line going directly up to the TV, but it only runs like 65 watts. So no worries there. Let's go through it, guys. I said Kranzle 1322. I have a homemade bracket shelf here. I made this out of some scrap steel and some plywood. Really stout, really heavy duty. What else do I got? The CoxReels I bought from Acme Tools. It had a coupon. I never ordered there from before. I want to say it was like $182 plus shipping tax after the coupon. And this has a brass fitting. It doesn't have the stainless steel fitting, but it looked like it drop shipped from CoxReels themselves. What else do we got? Kind of going down the list here. The hose, Clean Garage. I purchased this, had a coupon. And this is a Kobrajet hose. It's a 3/8 inch by 75 feet. The hose reel will take 100 feet, but I want it 75 feet because that's all I need is 75 feet. And because the distance from here to all the way to the curb is not even that. So plenty of room, and then I don't have to be so meticulous winding it up. So I have a little extra room to get, you know, not so perfect, because I'm not so perfect at anything I do. The gun is an MTM SGS 28. I did upgrade the fittings. This comes with the MTM fittings, but you can upgrade to the, I forget what they're called, like Valor or something, but basically they're CNC machined high pressure fittings on both ends. You can actually get this gun with them installed, and I recommend you do that because whatever glue or Loctite they have on these things are really, really tight. I didn't see that when I was buying this originally, but they do sell it. Of course, I seen it afterwards. I bought them separate, switched them out. The good thing is you have extra fittings in case I need them, but I switched them out. Good to go. It's got a really, oh, I forgot, still got some water in it, but it's got a really light trigger, which I like. And the tip, this tip is from Amazon, and I'll leave the links in the description if you guys are interested. This is cheap. I think I paid, I don't remember, I bought it a while ago, 15 bucks, 10, 15 bucks, and you get like a 4-pack of these tips. 15, I want to say 0, 40, 25, and it might even have a 15. They're very soft rubber, and that's why I got them, in case I hit the paint. It's not going to hurt anything. The white one is the 40 degree, and I really wanted to see which fan I like, the 25 or 40. This is a 25. I don't like the color. I probably will switch it out with different manufacturers just so I can get a black one once I dial in on the fan width that I like. What else do we got here? The plumbing for the unit. The plumbing, you guys can see here, the plumbing, I originally was going to hide all of this. This is PEX B 3/4 inch, and the fittings, I have a 90-degree elbow here, a T here, a 90-degree elbow there. The brackets I made out of some decently thick sheet metal, homemade, and I have those just screwed to a 2x4, the 2x4 stud in here. These were very, very hard to find. These are half inch on the other side, you know, where you have to use a fitting. So I took a 3/4 inch PEX to a 1/2 inch fitting, and you can buy these in a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch, but I'm using 1/2 inch copper to the 3/4 inch PEX just because the 3/4 inch PEX, or I'm sorry, 1/2 inch PEX and 1/2 inch copper, the inside diameter isn't even close. The inside of the 3/4 inch PEX after these fittings is very similar to the inside of the 1/2 inch copper. And I really want to maximize flow for this. Pressure washer, not even a big deal, because this thing, you know, it puts out like 2 gallons per minute. I think the tap probably runs at 6 or 8 on a standard little hole of a garden spigot. So no worries there. And I was doing it. I wanted to do it the way I wanted to do it, but it isn't necessary. I could have just bought the regular garden spigots and it would have been fine for both. But these were very, very hard to find. I wanted a ball valve, 1/4 turn ball valve, but I want it to look like a garden spigot. I don't know why that it was so hard to find, but it was. These are brass, nickel plated. I bought them from a place called Supply House. And do I have it in my pocket? I'll try to find the link, because I don't have a link, but I'll try to leave you guys a link. It's not affiliate. Affiliate is for Amazon. If you guys want to buy something from Amazon, it does help me a little bit, but I'm not going to force you. Some people will put a link to the Amazon product. I'm going to put a link to where I bought it. It's not worth it to me to make a couple extra bucks. I'd rather know you guys where I bought it, because if it's a better deal, rather than giving me a kickback. But if you do want to look at Amazon with the link, you buy something else, it still helps me, but I will put the links for the companies that I bought it. Again, this was Supply House, and they're called Webstone. This is a manufactured, forged brass silcock, nickel plated with 1/4 turn handle, lead-free, 125 PSI, made in China. But the brass fittings, they're really, they seem very well. I used some self-tapping screws, and then I put some stainless steel machine screws. I might have to put some nuts on the back eventually, but they hold really tight. What do I got here? So these silcocks were about 16 bucks a piece. For the 1/2 inch, if you went to a 3/4 inch, they're a little bit more. And I think the shipping was reasonable. I want to say it's $4. So I think I paid like $36 for both of them shipped. UPS, and I got them in like 2 or 3 days. The fittings, a lot of Amazon. This high pressure hose was on Amazon. I want to say it was 2 foot. Again, I will leave the links to the exact items that I have here. Coming into the pressure washer, this fitting here is a female to high pressure quick disconnect. And this is the Valachi. That's what the MTM Valachi. This is the the nicer fitting, and it goes into a screw-on fitting for the Kranzle. It depends on what pressure washer. It might be like an M14 or M15. I forget if this is an M14 or M15. I had to look it up myself, but I will leave it in the description. And you just hand tighten it, and it has the quick disconnect, so that was really easy. But one of the hard things, guys, was to kind of lay it out so that the hose that I bought wasn't too long, wasn't too short. That took a long time, just kind of dry fitting. And the same thing when I did the water lines. It might look like, oh, that's easy, but I have this is a water, and the Kranzle gives you a brass water inlet, and it's a 3/4 inch garden hose fitting. So what I did is, this is a high pressure, I think it's standard pressure, but a high burst resistant from Amazon. This is a 12 inch, and they don't bend very good. But so what I got is I got a 3/4 inch NPT or NFIP, which is basically a pipe thread. I can't remember which, to a garden hose fitting that goes into the Kranzle. And then I have a 90 degree, which I ground down because it had a little bit of a burr lip, little lip in there. And then this hose has a 3/4 inch pipe with a washer. Same thing on this end. And then I switched back the adapter. It went from a 3/4 inch pipe fitting to a male pipe fitting to a female 3/4 inch garden hose to a MTM, an MTM quick disconnect on the water. So what I did is essentially, I held it in place before I did the water lines. I kind of mocked it up and said, okay, this doesn't bind. This is a perfect distance. And then I marked it and I did the plumbing from there. Same thing with this coming down here. I have a T that goes up to a 90, and this is my bucket filler. And the bucket filler, same fittings, or adapter fittings that is, 3/4 inch female garden hose, GHT, to the male pipe. And again, I don't know if it's MPT or FIP, but one's got a taper on it, one doesn't, I forget. It probably doesn't have the taper, it's probably FIP. Same thing on the other end, just reverse. I have the female of the, which is basically the same fitting I have up here, is down there, and it just switches it back from the pipe fitting back to the garden hose. And on the garden hose, I have a stainless version, which is basically brass and stainless, brass up here. It's a fire hydrant, and I originally bought, see if I still have it over here. You can get these in two varieties. One is aluminum, and the other is stainless. Aluminum, when I was buying this, you had to buy two of the stainless for like 80 bucks. I'm like, yeah, aluminum you can't pick. This is a Bon Air. Aluminum you can't pick your color. They sent me red, it was just kind of pink. I didn't like it, so I, of course it's after the return policy. And but I was looking at Amazon and they had a single on there. You can buy a single for $40 or $42. Bought it the other day. It just came like literally minutes before I did the video. And I like it because, here, I'll show you guys. I'll show you the water action. That's full blast. I really like that. I really like that. I used to just hook up the hose like normal. You go outside and hook up the hose, but I really wanted a dedicated unit. The other reason I wanted to install it back here instead of the front of the garage, so I'm gonna step back, I'll show you. So this is the back corner, and that bump out is my HVAC system going up to the second floor. It's all coming off the main. It kind of stays warm, and there's a kitchen on the other side of the wall there. I really wanted it over there, but with the draft coming in from that wall, that wall gets very cold. Not freezing. My garage doesn't get freezing. It gets cold. It gets like 40 degrees, 38 on those cold days. But over there, I've never tested it. Over there, I'll get a little frost building up on the door there. Over here, I don't have anything to worry about. This should handle any temperature, but just in case, I did my plumbing in such a way where I can bypass it and drain it. I'm gonna leave the water. One of the things nobody can't find anything on it. Like, do you leave the water in it? Do you leave it? You know, do you have to disconnect? Like, why have a disconnect if you have to drain it? Or unless you're having to drain it all the time. And from what I found is no, you can leave it connected. It's got a brass pump here, stainless steel and brass, but I think the quick disconnect is just to make it a little easier in case you do have to disconnect it. But in the basement, if it ever did get like dropping, and again, I don't expect it to be, maybe we lost the heat and we didn't really have heat coming in the garage. Not that it's heated, but just the radiant, because I also have a room above. I have a kitchen on this side, and above there's my son's bedroom. So it gets heat from both sides and the sun in the back. So this garage doesn't crazy cold. I also have a heater. If it got really cold, I could pop that heater on and it warms this place up in just a couple minutes. So I didn't go with the frost free, of course. I went with these because I didn't want it to be coming out of that wall. I wanted it forward, and it would just look odd with the frost free and those valves go all the time. If you guys live in a cold climate, you know I've pretty much every other year I got to fix these frost free fire hydrants, those hydrants they call them. They have a little washer that seals further in, and to me, they go. I've tried a couple different brands. What they also can do is they can leak and freeze. Again, this wouldn't be a problem, but, and I originally was gonna hide this behind like drywall or something, and I said, no, it matches. It got my ear hose. I just reran all my ear hose and everything, and I got the blue here, and I was like, hey, that looks pretty cool. So it makes my life easier, and it just looks cool. I could have ran it in the wall, but I didn't want water lines inside my wall. Yes, people have them, but in Michigan, you don't have them typically on the outside wall. And this really isn't the outside wall, but I didn't want that. I actually had a hydrant in the front broke. It froze, even though I had it shut off. And I had a bunch of water coming down inside the wall. My basement's finished. So I wanted something that I could access in case I needed to work on it, change it, whatever. I wanted it accessible, but this actually looks really good with the blue and the blue. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. The bucket, I got that from the Italian bakery. I think it's like a 4-gallon bucket, but I measured it so that if I do a 5-gallon bucket, it should still roll underneath there. If this was the same size anyway, and it is, so a 5-gallon bucket should work as well. So that wraps up the introduction. If you guys are interested in how I built and assembled everything, please continue to watch this video, but please be forewarned, it is pretty lengthy and I do ramble on at times, especially in this video. So if you guys are interested, please continue to watch. My original plan was to go with drywall anchors. They're like the toggle bolts, which are really, really strong, but I just worried about the weight as well as the expense. The Kranzle is way more than I wanted to pay for a pressure washer, and I didn't want it to fall and break. So I was feeling around, took my stud finder, and I couldn't feel anything 16 on center here. And with the drywall, there was a little bit, I don't know, it just didn't feel 100% strong. So I decided to cut a hole in it. I had to do some patching anyway, and I'm glad I did. I found two interesting things. Now, this is a bump out for the HVAC for the second floor, and I'm like, maybe it's not a conventional wall. I don't know how it was built. I probably have pictures because we actually bought it when it was in construction, and my father-in-law took a bunch of pictures back then. But I couldn't feel any studs on this whole panel at all. And I realized there is a stud, and I don't know if it must be like 24 on center here. And my Kranzle's going right here, or I'm sorry, the reel's going here and the Kranzle's on the top. My original plan was to come in and kind of put a 2x4, rip it in half, screw it inside, screw it on this side, because I thought that's all I had to work with. And then I would mount what is it, like a 3/4 inch plywood, so I'd have plenty of strength as far as a backing. Now I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do here. I may try to figure out, maybe put some 2x4s going across. If I can maybe tie into this one here. So I'm gonna play around this a little bit and figure out what I'm gonna do. This is what it looks like after the blocking. I put the 2x4s here just to kind of tie it a little bit more to the side. It was really strong, but it even made it stronger. I probably didn't have to go all the way up with the 2x, but I had the wood, so why not? This way it gives me leverage any way I want to do the shelf after I figure out how I want to mount this, which I have a pretty good idea, but it just gives me a little bit of flexibility. So get this drywall in, figure out where I want this hose mount to go. And I do have a mark of how high. I did some testing of how high. Gives me kind of a rough estimate, but I am going to move it over here about, I have it written down, about 8 or 10 inches, because I was going to mount it there, but yeah, it gets pretty cold there. I just got nervous, or not so much over here. It's very warm, especially with the heating duct going through there. I'm not so concerned over there, and I do plan on using it all through the winter. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get the drywall back up and some holes to patch on the other side, and yeah, that's it for the night. So I have my Kranzle, or Kranzle, I don't know how you pronounce it. I have to make a shelf for it. I looked at some shelf brackets and they wanted like $15 for anything. I wouldn't even call them heavy duty, but they were more light duty. So I'm gonna make my own. I'm gonna use some scraps I had in the shed. This is 1x angle iron, and if I use 1x angle iron, I'm gonna copy off the Obsessive Garage doing the 18x8, I believe. My goal is to have just a tiny bit of a lip, just in case the Kranzle does a little walking. It doesn't walk off of the shelf. So there's a little ledge that will keep it. And then if I want to screw it on, I can still screw it on the wood if needed. Well, I'm gonna do quick disconnects, but I don't plan on moving it around, so I don't expect it to be dripping and leaking. This is a pretty decent gauge steel. It's not super thick, 1/16, but it's a square tube, which gives it a lot of strength. And the angle iron, I think it'll do good. So I'm using my square to make sure it's square. And it's not at the moment. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and mark what I want to cut. So I'm gonna cut this, the bottom one. So basically this is what I'm gonna cut. And then this will fit and I'll weld it, maybe. To cut it, I'm going to use my Harbor Freight portable bandsaw. Thought about using the plasma cutter, but this thing works pretty good. Yeah, it's a little bit of a wobble, so I'm gonna have to figure something else out here. You know, compared to my bandsaw, I got rid of my bandsaw because it just took up too much space. This does pretty good. Meaning, I think it even does better because the bandsaw is pretty limited to what you can cut. This one is pretty flexible as far as getting into spaces. So I'm going to have to probably grind this down because this should be 1 inch and it's not 1 inch. Yeah. So I'll do my plan is this will be 18 inches. I'll do 2 identical like this with a 1 inch. I'll call it like a tab that comes in. That way the other angle will be just a straight cut and that'll fit on both. And I'll tack it up on the inside, grind it, and then weld it up. So I'll show you guys. So again, you'll see that even with cutting that, I have a little bit of a burr there. I'll grind that flush. Again, 18 inches. and then 8 inches straight cuts on the other. Tack it up, weld it up, measure where I want my angle to be. And I'll cut those, I don't know if it's a 3/4 or 1/2 inch, and I'll weld it from here down. So let me go ahead and cut, measure this 18, I'll cut my other pieces and then we'll be back. All right, check these, roughly check them. We'll have to clean this one up a little bit. This one maybe not. So let me go ahead and tack this up. I'm just going to tack it on the inside so I can grind it out. On the outside. There we go. The weld I'm going to do on the outside so I can, I don't want it to be a big hump. That tack I can grind down. I know my shoes are ridiculous. I got to buy some work boots. I didn't want to do this with flip-flops. I had a hot amber from the welding hit me in the foot, bare foot one time, and was not fun. So I probably should have long pants on, but it's hot today, and I'm only welding a little piece here, so that's what I want. This one's kind of sticking up for some reason. I don't know why. I think it had a little goober of something on it. Gotta make sure I hold this and when I tack it. No, it stands, so I'm good. All right. On this, if I figured this out right, hold it down. That's my shelf. These cutters are about had it too. All right. Whoa, Nelly. That was a bad weld. And not horrible. Actually, if I just copy that, I'm golden. So I'm gonna make my bracket this length. That's like perfect. So I don't want to come all the way to the edge. That's perfect. So I'm gonna mimic this 45, the framing square, whatever they call this. And I'll cut 2 of them. So I need 2 of these. Doesn't have to be perfect as long as they match. The next one has 1 cut, so this is semi-straight. It's not bad. I can grind them down and make it work. Here's the contraption I made so that it'll hold it in place while I tack it up. I just took a framing square, some spacers, some scrap steel, and yeah, I'm gonna tack it up, and then I'll do the other side the same way. If I was smart, I would have, did I do it right? Yeah, if I was smart, I would have drilled the holes for the top going into the back, but I'm not smart, so I'm gonna go ahead and weld this up. Don't need this anymore. Bring my apparatus on this side. Tack up this side. So here's the completed shelf. I'm gonna go ahead and paint it. And, oh, I guess before I paint it, I have to drill. I'm gonna put 3 holes in the backside for some lag bolts, and then 1 this way. Not sure how I'm gonna do it. Probably angle it, but I want it to be flat. I don't know, but I'm gonna put 1 down there. So the plan is, the reel will be here, and the shelf will be here, and I'll cut a piece of wood to go on the inside. I got a bird there, I gotta grind it down. So that's it. This should hold 50 pounds. It cost me 0, I just used the stuff I had in the shed. That'll work out perfect. I don't know if you guys can see that. That'll go in there. Same with that. It will be on an angle into the wood, which it's fine. I'm gonna clean it up and get a coat of paint on it and let it dry overnight. Maybe 2 coats, see how it goes. All right, guys, so marked my holes here. You guys can see it right here. And I get this all painted up, looking good, and I put some tape on here, went and pulled it off, and kind of pulled the paint with it, but you won't see it. This pulled off. I'm gonna go ahead and drill my holes. And this drill bit is I looked at it on the internet, 1564. So the bolts, the lag bolts I have somewhere, they're 3/8 by 2.5 inch. And I'm gonna use a washer too. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill this. Not quite all the way. Yeah, all the way ain't gonna hurt nothing. So I'm gonna go right in the middle here. Drill bit is not great. Make sure they're nice and straight. All right. Get one. That's loud. Wall up, maybe not. Wipe that off. Picturing that. That is level right there. You guys can't see anything from here though. I'll put you right here. See, they're kind of in here a bit. Just gonna tighten them up. There we go. Hose reel mounted. All right, so the one side with the swivel, I'm so glad to get some of the stuff off my garage floor. Just like, you know, plumbing, I guess. You don't want to go to the first, you want to miss. I'm trying to get this on camera here. It's really not that hard. Go around, and I just kind of pull it, and I'm missing the first thread. That's one. That's two. That's three. That's four. That should be good. And this will thread in. Right here. Let me take this stopper out. I don't know if you guys can see this. You're in a kind of a bad angle here. I guess there's no good angle. If I move it one way, you can't see it. If I move it the other way, you can't see the hole. Just threading it in by hand here. I'll tell you what, this 3/8 hose, I guess there's enough room, but then this hole they got here, or this cutout relief, oh, I'm not actually threading it. I think it's gone in now. That's why it's good to do this stuff by hand, because you start wrenching on it and you realize you cross something up. So I'm going to get a wrench and I am going to tighten that up. Yeah, I don't like the way that looks, the way it's bound. I'm going to take this back off. I gotta go in this hole. Maybe I had the wrong hole. Yeah, that looks better. Down in there a bit. All right. There we go. I like that better. And with 75 foot, you don't have to be so critical with it. I mean, you still want it to look nice and organized, but I'm not going to get critical with it like some of these guys. I'm taking a little bit more time now because, well, I guess I'm not. So that's how to look most of the time. All right. So I'm already scratching this thing up. I can't. Oh! I dropped that thing so many times. I have a porta-cable nailer that I've probably dropped a few times. Not nearly as much as that thing. And I was using it last night. And that thing, the back blew off of it. I don't know if it had a crack. I gotta look that up. So if anybody knows what that is to fix. It looks like it was working, but I don't know. You're supposed to, they say you want to pre-drill so it doesn't split the wood, but quarter inch. I think we're good. I'm not real happy how this turned out. I want to lower this. I did some measurements, and for one, the space looks a little odd. Now, I don't like it when people put the pressure washer like right down to it, but I have a bit of more of a gap than I want. So I did some measurements, because the other thing is this 2-foot hose. What do they call it? A whip hose. And I've done it multiple different angles. As you can see, it's all marred up. And what I've come up with that seems to work the best and looks the best is if I go this route. Now, if I go this route, I can't attach it because it's too high. But if I lower it 2 1/4 inches, because I don't want this to bind at all, or at least not much. No matter what I do, there's going to be a little teeny tension on this swivel, because if you look at the Cox YouTube channel, they said the most failures comes from the tension. This is supposed to be a very loose fitting, and if there's a lot of tension, even if you have a flexible hose, if there's a lot of tension, it can mess up those seals and cause it to leak. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm not going to show you guys that because you've already seen it once. So I'll show you once I have it done. I'm just going to take this off, unscrew it, bolt it back, but 2 1/4 inches lower. I got it remounted, looks much better. Hopefully this hose will fit. All I'm doing now is taking this 2-inch hose I got on Amazon, and I'll leave all the links that I have so you can see exactly the items. I know that helps sometimes, and I get a tiny little kickback from Amazon affiliates if you guys do decide to buy this or something else. But if I find it cheaper somewhere else, I'm not like some of those folks that will leave the Amazon links even though they didn't buy it. I don't make a ton of money on Amazon. It doesn't even pay for the stuff I do on YouTube. I will tell you guys where it's cheaper, like I did with the hose reel. I got this from Acne Tools. They have it on Amazon. It was more expensive on Amazon, so I bought it somewhere else. Same thing, I bought a lot of my other supplies from Clean Garage because it was cheaper if you look for a discount code. And I put some Teflon tape, 3 or 4 loops around, and I'm just getting these snug, pretty good snug, not crazy tight, maybe one little bit more. There we go. And if I did this right, it's my plan. I'm trying not to mar up my paint now. So if I did this right, I should have clearance. Oh yeah. Beautiful, guys, beautiful. There is like no tension. It's loose as can be. See how it moves when I rotate this? But I'm just happy to have this on the shelf and mounted. I am pretty geeked. Let me step back, ignore these wires. I was trying to watch the football game, and the antenna that I had to play around with it. So I gotta get a new antenna. If you guys have any suggestions for a digital antenna, I'd love to know, but that's how it's gonna look on the garage. A recommendation, I bought this gun on Clean Garage, and I don't know if I didn't see it at the time, but the MTM has 2 types of fittings, the regular ones and the Prima version. The Prima version, I believe, are CNC'd. They're really nice. The action is like perfect. I bought the regular gun, which was $80, and I think they have the gun with the Prima fittings already installed for $110. That's $30. Definitely go that route. I know there's other sites that have upgraded fittings as well, and they're a huge difference, and it just saves you trouble. They have these things, it's almost like a Loctite they use. I've never seen it. I've used a lot of different plumbing fitting sealants, and I've never seen stuff like this. It's almost like a clear, almost like Loctite, but it came out okay. I tried to make it where I didn't see too much Teflon tape because I don't like using the liquid stuff. I usually have the green stuff or the yellow stuff, and I didn't want to muck it up, so I just used regular Teflon. But the action is way, way better, way, way better. So highly recommend if you guys have a gun and you don't have the Prima fittings, definitely recommend you pick them up. So I'm gonna go do a pressure test. Yeah, so let's take a look at this. This is ugly as hell. You guys can see this. I'm gonna get a small Phillips screwdriver. It's just a crappy looking. Oh, it's not a small. Looks like it's a small, but oh yeah, it's a small. Oh, probably. Yeah, I have a camera that I can't see the screen on, guys, so if I go off screen, don't mean it. Okay, that makes it easy. You just got the 3 ground, black, neutral. Black is the hot. So that makes it easy. I can just unscrew it, cut it. And if I ever need an extension cord, I can just use it as an extension cord I still don't like that though. I just don't like the looks, but for now, I'm gonna roll with it. I'll leave a little bit of an extra room so that if I do decide to cut it and buy a plug and put a GFCI, I can do that. So what they have here, hoping you guys can see, I'm gonna, all right, so there's two parts. One is I have to unscrew the screws that are holding the wires on. You guys can see there's screws holding the wires. Loosening those up. And then there's a screw, two screws. I don't know what kind of screws. I'm gonna get a different screwdriver. The screwdriver does not fit well on any of these screws. I can feel it slipping a little bit. They've worked for me. I don't want to take it all the way out. I'm just loosening it up. Now I got to figure out where I'm going to cut this off at, which is, again, I'm going to leave myself a little bit extra because I'm going to figure this thing wherever this thing is at. I'm not going to plug it in. I'm just going to kind of flies in here. Guys, he's driving me nuts. I'm gonna show you guys something pretty cool I bought. It's a Bugzooka. No, not a Bugzooka. It might be. It's a salt gun. Let me go get it. Everybody needs one of these for home defense. Table salt, locked and loaded. I don't like how it's got a trigger, but you know, that's where we live in today's society here. And this little guy is driving me nuts. Oh, 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 yes. Down for the count. Yeah, baby. No splatter on the wall. None of that. Bad thing is, if you do it in your son's bedroom, he may complain when he went to bed that he had grit stuff all in his sheets. So, yeah, be careful if you're shooting this around your bedroom. It ain't gonna hurt anything. It's just, you're gonna have salt all in your sheets and stuff. You have to clean them. All right, so where was I at? Yeah, make sure you guys can see what I'm doing over here. Yeah, okay. This little, not GoPro, but Action, it's got a front camera, but it's tiny, tiny. And half the time it doesn't flip to the front. So technically it has one, but often it's blank because I forget to hit the button or it turns off. I got to get me a real camera. Actually, I shoot Fuji cameras for photography. That just the autofocus kind of isn't the great, and there's no flippy screen for the ones I got. Maybe I break down and buy like a Sony or one of the Canon cameras for dedicated YouTube. I like my phone, but it fills up too fast, overheats. I had a lot of issues with, I shouldn't, as many cameras as I got, but okay, so I'm just gonna measure this where I want it. Again, I don't wanna cut it too short in case I wanna do something in the back. The other thing I could have done, and maybe I will do it for this. Now I don't want like 50 feet, but what I'll do is on the side here, guys, I'm gonna leave it longer so that it gives me an option to cut it down. And I'm just gonna kind of do one of these numbers. Nobody will know. Who will know? How does that go? No one will know. No one will know. And then I have an extra loop in case I wanted to change something. I mean, but technically you could open this up, the top of the Kranzle. I don't know if it's Kranzle or Kranzle, but you could probably open the top, and I've seen a guy that fixes them in UK or something, and there's a a power block in here so that you could tap into it. So I'm not too worried about it, but I do like the idea of leaving a little extra room just because there's a good probability that I'm going to change this up, and I don't want to mar up the wall with this stuff though. But there's a good probability I'm going to change this up, and I'll have to look up the code and if it's a wise thing to do. I don't see why not. It's a GFCI on the unit versus on the wall. You think the wall would be better, but I don't know. So again, I'm going to take this and measure to see where I'm at here. I'm gonna guess it would help if I had some wire cutters in my hand. Would help. These are tin snips. They're not technically wire cutters, but they will work. I'm gonna give just kind of eyeballing things. And I got a little reservoir. If I screw something up, oh yeah, that's right. Thought I screwed up. I get talking on these YouTube videos. Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing. All right, get my wire splitters. Man, if you guys do any kind of electrical work, I did a video. These Klein tool ones are the ones I have. I like them. I'm sure there's other ones out there. There's some pretty beefy gauge wire that they use. But this ain't gonna work for that. What am I looking at the base here? So before I pull that down, I'll put this on. I don't need much, so I'm just gonna look at me saying how great that other thing is, and this is the first time I've used this in probably 15 years, so. And they probably have better ones, these regular ones. This is probably not the best example of wire cutters. I probably got these in some free kit somewhere down the road, or although the way things are getting now, you know, I remember, I'm 50. I remember when something new came out, you had to have the better one, or you had to have the new one because you know it was improved. Now, I swear to God, every time if I see a package change, I was just in Menards. I got some once I find them, I'm gonna put them on, some covers for the outlets. And the package changed. And I'm digging around to find the old package because I would bet money. They look kind of the same, but I would bet money the new one is cheaper and not as good. Where when I was back in my day, when something new was out, when they had a model change or a tweak, it was always for the better. Now it's for the worse. My table saw is a prime example of that. This new one is a piece of crap compared to the one I had before. All right, so that's the cap. Hopefully I didn't. Okay, so I guess I don't need to really worry about the orientation. So I'm just sticking these in. All right, SD card filled up. The GoPro or my Osmo Action's getting really hot. So I don't know, it might shut off. The battery's dying. Like I said, I shouldn't have as many camera issues as I do, but I do. I did my cheapy screwdriver. I lost it along the way. So this just puts tension. So if somebody yanks on, oh, this came off. The first loop should be in the, not that again that it matters much, but If I can fix it, I'll fix it. There we go. My setup, nobody's going to be yanking it, but it's a safety thing because, well, the wires wouldn't be hot if they pulled out, so I don't know. I mean, if they pulled out of here, they wouldn't have any juice. But I'll put it back the way they had it. Now, not so weird looking if I did it right. I don't like that, but I don't like how it's turning either. But there, that doesn't look horrible. All right, guys, so this video is going on longer than I originally thought, so I'm going to go ahead and cut part 1 here. Part 2 will pick up, and I'll show you how I do the plumbing. So please stay tuned for the next video, and thanks for watching, guys.